I'm in my comfy stream setup right now. Super happy. Mm. So, ooh, that might have been too loud. I was recording earlier, and I think I left my mic up too high. That's okay. So, we're continuing Unintended Consequences. I've been looking for other stories that I also wanted to read with you guys, and um, but we'll get to it when we get to it. I'm super happy. I feel very low energy though today, so my voice is like blah. I have to. I've been getting injured. I've been injuring myself with my nails again. Yeah. For some reason, it's making. Mm. Since yesterday. Wow. Yeah, with the recordings. Well, I did do them. I decided against posting them. Personally. Yeah. Mm. I've been looking at a lot of stuff recently, too. Because there's a lot of stories that I think, there's a lot of books that I think I might want to read from the beginning. Again, one story I really love is a long book. It's called The Coldest Girl in Cold Town. Interesting story. Another good one. Skullduggery Pleasant. Never finished it. Another story series that I read when I was. This one is more action adventure-y, called Witch and Wizard. That one was super interesting. Then there was another one called 365. There are many stories I read actually. Now, honestly, while they said they were young adults, I don't think. Then what other stories have I read? When I get super into a book series, I really do. Skullduggery Pleasant. Actually, in the Skullduggery Pleasant series, if we do decide to read it, which I hope we do, I feel like it'd be the first book specifically too would be a good series to start with. Um, it starts off with a girl, obviously. It's about a girl and a skeleton going to defeat bad guys. Really good story. Um, 365, which each book was a different each book was a different month. Yeah, let me pull it up. Not 365. Young adult, probably. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I'm pretty sure. It's a book series. I'm pretty sure he got blamed for something he didn't do. And then he ended up having to go on the run to prove he wasn't the one who did it. Really good story. I think one book series people would be surprised. Maybe not surprised, but one book series that I did read was um ooh, what was it called? It definitely wasn't Vampire Diaries, I can tell you that. I did watch Vampire Academy though. Yeah. I should know what this book series is called. Because I read the entire series. The one with, you know, the wolf, the werewolf who was a pedophile, and the vampire who was also technically a pedophile. like, okay, I don't know. I think my mic is kind of peaking though. But yeah, it was, yeah, that one. Vampire Academy, crazy. Oh my god. I can't believe I forgot about this book series. If you have never read a crazier, I have never read a crazier book series. Let me tell you, the shit that happened in that book series was crazy. God sleeping with mortals. The entire book series was crazy. I never finished the book series for Vampire Academy. I did watch the movie. Oh my god. It's Twilight. Twilight was a book, by the way. Twilight. Yeah. Oh my god. How did I forget about this book series? I read this entire book series too, and the entire thing was crazy. Because there was like gods sleeping with other gods, gods sleeping with mortals, gods cheating on their spouses, villains becoming good, good people becoming. The entire series was nuts. Oh my god. Never. I. I can't believe they put that in young adult. Honestly. Yep, the coldest girl in Cold Town. That was the book series that I was talking about. Good book series, by the way. Oh my god. Then there's another book series called I am Princess. Ah, yes, this story crazy. I am Princess X. I want a quick summary of it. Because let me tell you, that book series was also one of the book series that I thought was like. It's a book series that I read. It basically follows this girl trying to find her best friend. That's the best I could say. Yeah. Her best friend goes missing at some point in time. Looking at all the book series that I read, honestly, kind of surprised. I read kind of a bit when I was like younger. I also read The Girl Who Could Fly, because that was an interesting book series. Mm, I wouldn't. I would not read that book again, though. I will say, I would not read that book again. Yep, Piper McCloud, a sheltered farm girl who discovered she could fly. Country girl who has the ability to fly. Her parents tried to hide her abilities from the world. However, after her powers were revealed, she was sent away to a special school for other magically gifted children. But the school might not have her best interests at heart. Yep, yep. Now I just need to find whatever book series that was. That was like 365. Because I know there was a book series called 365. Not 865. Hmm. Speaking of which, another series that I Conspiracy 365. That's what it's called. Mm-hmm. You must survive the next 365 days. Forced into a life on the run, Cal finds himself hunted by ruthless criminals and the police. Somehow he must uncover the truth about his father's mysterious death and solve the Ormond Singularity, a secret from the past, before the year is up. Crazy. Now, a series we should watch together is called Project 863. It was from the channel which used to be called Matthias, but now it's called um Overkill. The channel's called Overkill. I loved that entire series. Hmm. It wasn't even a TV series. I guess it had season, but it started from like season 0, so it technically had 5 seasons. Amazing, loved it. Mm. And I loved solving the puzzles in each one because they made me feel so smart. Oh my god. Obviously the Warrior series. And there was like the Warrior Dog series, which was called Survivors. For anyone who doesn't remember what, um, because I had a whole entire stream about it before. Basically, Warrior Cats is about a different clans of cats that live in the forest following a book of rules, and basically it I would say it mainly follows it will follow cats from other clans, but it mainly follows Thunder Clan, which the I would call Thunder Clan like the Gryffindor in Warriors. If I were to like mismatch everything, I would call it's pretty easy to put Gryffindor and Slytherin to Thunder Clan and Shadow Clan. There's 2 more though, Wind Clan and River Clan. Now between River Clan and um Raven Clan, oh my god, I'm telling you, brain cooked. Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw. Between Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw, I wouldn't know. Honestly, my sister was kind of disappointed in me. She said, because out of all the book series I could have finished, I finished Twilight, but I still couldn't finish Harry Potter. Couldn't finish Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. I was one of those I was one of those kids. I was weird. I was a weird one. And in the Aaron Hunter series, there isn't just the cats, there's the dogs, there's Brave Lands, which is all savanna animals, elephants, lions, giraffes, zebras, this, that, whatever. And then there's Seekers, which is for bears, grizzly bear, black bear, polar bear. Grizzly, which is basically brown bear, black bear, white bear, all of them. Those 3 specifically. Mm-hmm. Never really read Seekers or Brave Lands because I just never really took to it. Let me see. I want to see whatever other book series that I may have read. Clockwork Angel. Started, didn't finish. Matched. Started, didn't finish. Crazy story though. Mm-hmm. No, of course I read Babysitter's Club, but that was like a comic book series, so I don't really count it. There is another book series that I vaguely remember reading. And it had way too much for me to actually understand what the actual fuck was going on. So, crazy. Mm-hmm. We're just looking at books right now. I got so caught up in my book series I forgot to post about it. But yeah. Okay, I was also so obsessed with any series. So for a period of time, I was super into fantasy, anything fantasy. No, specifically Wonderland. After watching the Wonderland movies, I was so into Wonderland. You would not believe. Watched TV shows about it, read up books that were talking about the future of Wonderland. Like, I was in, I was all up in them for no reason. Crazy. hmm The entire story, when you think about Wonderland, the one that I watched was kind of crazy because it's like one of the shows that I watched took said she basically came back after like she turned 26 and then she got sent home. The entire story series was crazy because instead of her being like a Dorothy being like a kid, Dorothy was like a full grown adult. Mm-hmm. And the type of shit she went through, let me tell you, I would not end up back. I would not end up back in Kansas. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Not of my own volition either, because that was crazy. Hmm. What is this book, anyways? We're gonna get started soon, though. Hmm. Oh, some another book series. I didn't watch the. I didn't read the book. Looked at the movie though. Crazy movie, would say. Um, 50 Shades of Grey, because there was like the book Twilight was based off of this, and this was based off of that, and that was based off of whatever. So it's crazy to see how many different book series, how many different adaptations of different book series actually became popular in their own right. Like 50 Shades of Grey was supposed to be a rendition of Twilight, I heard. Something like that. If I'm wrong, don't quote me because I'm probably wrong. Mm. So we left off when they were getting ready for the pep rally. So our main character was getting ready for her pep rally. I'm gonna turn off the BGM for now. And see. Let's see. So right now, the the main character is Charlotte. Charlotte Avery. For those who don't know, so we're on chapter 6 of Unintended Consequences, and where we've gotten so far was Charlotte Avery, who's now going to USC, University of Southern California, with an ex crush of hers. Now, let's start from the beginning, I guess. Charlotte Avery is the main character of this book series. She was formerly in love with her brother's best friend, Archer Johnson, until she was had her 16th birthday, which when he was coming in with her brother, he called her um Oliver, Oliver Avery, which is her brother, Charlotte Avery's brother. Archer Johnson called Charlotte Oliver's creepy little sister, in which she swore off loving him and gave herself a set of rules to prevent herself from falling in love with him. And there was three main rules. One, here I pulled it up. He's like, do not look directly at Archer. Do not speak directly to Archer. Do not think about Archer, and do not stay in the same room as him for too long. Because she knew there was no way for her to completely avoid them, since because of Oliver, her brother, and Archer being best friends, their parents ended up becoming really close too, so there was no way for her to like completely avoid him. The only thing she could do was just like avoid being with him too long. So yeah. So and she's been following those rules since her 16th birthday. Now she ended up going to the same college as him, which had the best program for her degree that she wanted to get into, which is the only reason why she chose it. Right now, she's getting ready to go to the football game in which Archer is a um, player in. She didn't think she. I don't know. I don't think she thinks she'll run directly into him, but that's where we're at. So it's the pep rally specifically, and her best friend Madeline was helping her get ready for it. So we're on chapter 7. Ooh, heads up, we do have two love interests. The main love interest, which is Archer. Then there's a secondary love interest whose name is Emmett. He met her first on her day of move in, which she almost got hit by a football that they were tossing around. And then they met a second time. I think the next day after that incident, where she tripped and sprained her ankle and he was helping her. So that's where we left off. All right. So Emmett's. That's where Emmett leaves off. But yeah, so we're at the pep rally. Let me get my reading voice. The man at the podium introduced himself as the head of USC's football team. He had a serious face that was worn all that was worn down with wrinkles and a deep tan. He didn't smile much as he welcomed everyone to the home opener pep rally, but his commanding voice still seemed to suck us in. His short speech ended with a promise that the Trojans were going to kick ass this year, which garnered a resounding roar from the crowd in the stadium. After, he stepped away, a tall, lean cheerleader with a tight blonde ponytail stepped up to speak. Hey y'all, my name is Holly, and I'm the head cheerleader for the USC Song Girls, she shouted, giving a dazzling smile to the crowd. We're about to bring in the men of the hour, our USC Division 1 boys, the Trojans. The crowd went bonkers as I shrunk into my seat. Dang, these people were worked up. Then we have our annual rookie race, our marching band, and of course, us girls may have put together a little something special just for tonight. My feet shook with the vibration of the crowd as they hooted and hollered at the prospect of seeing the cheerleaders jumping around together. Holly settled the crowd and called each football player out by name. As their name was called, a player would walk out of the tunnel with the cheerleader on his arm. They crossed in front of the crowd as everyone cheered their name before lining up in the middle behind the podium. Cheerleaders were in their full white uniforms with dashes of cardinal and gold, while the boys were dressed casually in their jerseys over top. I watched as a slew of attractive men came parading out. Most had smiles on their faces as they waved to the crowd or bumped fists with their teammates in line. I laughed when I saw Emmett walk out. He saluted the crowd before tripping over his own feet and stumbled. The cheerleader attached to his arm shot him a glare when he almost pulled her down, but they both recovered and moved into line. And finally, the man we all have been waiting for, two-time Heisman Trophy nominee, our star quarterback, Archer Johnson. I covered my ears while the crowd roared loudly for Archer. He he came striding out of the tunnel. Unlike the other boys, he didn't wave to the crowd. He stared straight ahead as his cheerleader led him up to the line, and once he was there, lifted his face and acknowledged everyone with a small smirk. The girl attached to his arm was beautiful. She had long red hair pulled up in a ponytail, while her makeup was dramatic and eye-catching. She was tall enough to stand on her toes slightly and whisper something into Archer's ear. Whatever she said pleased him because he looked down at her with an even bigger smirk before he responded with something that made her cheeks flush. All right, let's hear it one more time for the Trojans, Holly yelled from the podium. Now, we're about to start the annual rookie race. So, boys, let's have all the rookies step forward. I watched as Emmett and about 15 other boys stepped forward to listen to Holly. Okay, we have we are going to take the next 10 minutes to set up our obstacles. In that time, you have to go to the crowd and find a girl to partner with you. She had she has to wear your jersey so we know she's yours, and the two of you will be doing a piggyback race together. Holly left the podium to instruct the rest of the football team on where to put each obstacle. Meanwhile, the rookies took off like bats out of hell into the crowd to find girls. My heart stopped as I saw Emmett beelining right for me and Madeline. Oh God, please, 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 no. Sure enough, he hopped the barrier and jumped a few steps into my room before kneeling next to me and giving me a teasy grin. What do you say, Smalls? Want to kick ass together? Not a chance. I'm not up in front of I'm not going up in front of all of those people, I whisper shouted. What? Come on, Charlotte. I was your Prince Charming. You owe me. No way. You only helped me because you also made me fall. Hey, We agreed we weren't going to mention that, he whispered back with a mock despair. Come on, Smalls, please. You just have to come out into the field with me and let me piggyback you. I already know I can lift you easily, and I will owe you 1,000,000 favors after this, I promise. Emmett's puppy dog eyes were strong, I could give him that. Way better than when Oliver tried to get me to do stuff for him. I looked over at Madeline for some help, but she just gave me an encouraging smile and said, Hey, what's the worst that could happen? Just don't look at the crowd and have some fun. Sighing, I stood up. Was I really going to do this? I guess so. Emmett jumped and fisted the air in celebration, which got a few laughs from people who had been watching our exchange. Keeping my head down slightly, I bent aloud and allowed Emmett to lead me down the steps. When we got to the barrier, he easily hopped over it like it was no frickin' deal, leaving me to stare at him like, what was I supposed to do? Laughing, Emmett reached up and said, Come on, Smalls, climb over, I'll grab you. Gingerly, I sat down over the barrier and swung my legs over the side. Emmett had then reached up and grabbed my waist before lifting me down and settled right in front of him. Oh, right, he said, as though he had just remembered something. He then proceeded to whip off his jersey, leaving himself bare-chested, and smothered me as he shoved it over my head. I shot him a glare as I pulled my arms through the alarmed jersey and attempted to fix my hair. We walked together over the rookies who had partners already. The older players were almost done setting up the obstacle course, and it looked pretty basic. I kept my eyes forward on the course rather than looking back at the hundreds, if not thousands, of eyes currently watching our group. The, the rookies would have to run halfway down the field before they weave in and out of tall wooden poles, then stepped through about 20 tire lines up in a row before running back and climbing a 15-foot wooden wall that had been brought over using a rope to get down the other side. It would probably be a piece of cake, except for the fact that I would be clinging to Emmett's back while he did it all. When the race was about to begin, Holly had us line up in a row, and the girls jumped on their players' backs. As I placed my hand on Emmett's shoulders, he turned back and smirked at me. Try not to feel me up too much, Smalls. This is serious. I don't lose. I laughed at his sudden determination and gave him my best serious face to let him know I was in it to win it. I didn't know why, but my serious face made Emmett laugh harder, which was not my intention. On your marks, get set, go! Holly shouted and just like that, we were off. It was hard to pay attention to my surroundings as Emmett took off down the field. I could see why he was a wide receiver. This boy was fast. It was all I could do It all I could do was tuck my face in and hold on to him with my legs and arms as he gripped my thighs and sprang forward. I got a little dizzy when he weaved through the wooden poles, but Emmett's constant laughter relaxed me slightly. He didn't seem concerned about falling or dropping me. Then we were out. Emmett shot towards the tires. I looked up long enough to see that there were no players in front of us. I didn't care to turn around to check, but it looked like we were in the lead. My head bobbed up and down as Emmett jumped through the tires with ease and then ran back to the wall. Okay, Charlotte, hold on tight. I gotta use my fingers in the cracks to climb, so I can't hold on to you. All right, let's just get this over with, I said, with apprehension as I tightened my arms around his neck. With that, Emmett scaled the wall slowly, finding gaps in the wood to pull us both up. Smalls, it's cute how much you love me, but you're kind of choking me, Emmett said between gasps as he pulled us to the top of the wall. I dropped my arms so they hit his chest instead and made the mistake of looking down. Sensing my fear, Emmett looked back at me and smiled. It's all good, girl, I got you. I closed my eyes as I felt Emmett swing his legs over. He grunted as he slowly lowered us and grabbed onto the rope. Keeping my eyes closed, I felt his arms and back muscles clench as he dropped us lower. I looked up to see another player climbing over the wall with a very scared girl clinging to his back. but it was already too late. Emmett dropped us at the last foot and ran quickly back to his team. And the winner is number 12, Emmett Reynolds. Holly shouted as the crowd cheered for us. Loud whoops and yeahs came from Emmett as he reached back and pulled me around to his front. I laughed loudly, and he even squeezed the ever loving life out of me, jumping up and down and acting a fool. I vaguely heard Holly let everyone know there would be a half-hour break before the performances started, but it was hard to focus, with Emmett's celebration still going on strong. Okay, Emmett, put me down. You're rattling my brain too much. I pouted slightly. His He laughed and he put me down, but threw an arm around my shoulders while he acknowledged some of his teammates who had come around to congratulate him. I sunk into his side as I realized I was surrounded by large, intimidating men. I think Emmett could feel me tense because he rubbed my shoulders slightly and started to separate from the crowd. Archer stood a few yards away, talking to the redhead cheerleader. He was nodding at whatever she was saying, but his eyes were focused on our group. Why did he look so angry? I mean, Archer always looked gruff, but he glared over at us like we had somehow personally offended him. I looked away as Emmett finally got us free from everyone and walked over to the exit, then back to the bleachers. Well, Smalls, he said while he squeezed my shoulder, after that amazing teamwork, I'm pretty sure you're my best friend, whether you like it or not. Phone number, please. I laughed when he stared at me expectantly. I really, I really did feel comfortable around Emmett, which never happened with any guys before except for Oliver. He was so easy to be around, and in the short time that I had known him, he had made me laugh way more than most people. He even managed to get me out in front of a stadium full of people, and I enjoyed myself. I mean, that feat alone should earn him my phone number. So with that, I passed him my phone to enter his number. Hey, a familiar voice shouted. I kind of thought after all that excitement you just might want to head back to the dorms, Madeline asked as she walked towards us. Us. Honestly, yeah, that would be great. I think I need to decompress a little after all of that. Shaking, I gave Emmett a sassy look. He passed me my phone back with a crooked grin. I saw that he entered his phone number and also texted him, so he had mine. With a final tight hug, he bid us both goodbye and ran back to his team. An hour later, I laid on our couch, scrolling through the pictures Madeline had sent me. She had snapped tons of really great shots of Emmett and I doing the race together. Warmth spread through my chest as I stared at picture after picture of the two of us laughing together. I looked like some normal college girl, enjoying some school spirit with no cares in the world. One picture specifically called to me. It was right after Holly had announced us the winners. Emmett had one arm tightly wrapped around me, holding me to his chest, and the other was fisted into the air in celebration. Both of our faces were turned upward as we laughed at our victory. His jersey hung low around my hips, covering anything I could be self-conscious about, and the wind had fluffed my hair to make it crazy voluminous. As far as pictures went, it was basically the cream of the crop for me. At Emmett Reynolds has tagged you in the photo on Instagram. I clicked the notification and it was taken to Emmett's Instagram profile. He must have searched me out because I saw that he had followed me. I clicked most of his recent pictures and realized that someone had taken pictures for Emmett as well. He had posted a picture of us when we were waiting in the starting line of the race. It was right as I had tried to give him my serious face and he was laughing at me. I understood better now why that was. I thought I showed him my peak inner Hulk, but turns out I wasn't nearly that ferocious. My brows were puckered together as I lightly pursed my lips into what I thought in my head was a determined scowl, but instead ended up looking like I was pouting, looking down and looking down at 50 likes it already had. I laughed out loud at his caption. Who likes my new backpack? This beauty's game face is definitely the reason we won the rookie race. The feeling brave and more than a little buzzed off with all the excitement, I decided to post a few as well. My Instagram was bare at this point. The last picture I had posted was my family and I a few months ago. The rest were sporadic moments I shared with Britt and Kyla. Overall, it made me look like a lame person. I decided to post a picture of Emmett running down the field with me strapped to his back, then the celebration picture that I loved so much. I captioned it. Obviously, I did all of the heavy lifting on the team. Hashtag USC rookie race. And posted it before I could second guess myself. Just as I was about to get up and shower is when my phone buzzed, and I looked down and saw it was Emmett texting me like crazy. Charlotte, 911, give me your room number. This is an emergency. And I guess that's on to chapter 2. Chapter 7. Because that was chapter 6. No, that was chapter 7. We're on to chapter 8. Honestly, so far, see, I honestly get why she refuses to like Archer anymore. Because if I. So, Archer had called her his creepy little sister. Honestly, as long as we don't find out. It's like, I'm scared. Oh, what is it? You know how it's like Team Jacob until we found out that he was technically a pedophile? Like, it was that. It was honestly that. Because it was like Team Jacob up until he found out that the person he really liked was the baby in her stomach when he was already, like, almost. Uh, like, that was crazy. So now I'm too scared to. I'm scared giving characters the second option choices. Because what happens? What happens if they're a terrible person? You never know. You never know. Explicit trigger warning. This chapter will depict scenes of a character being drugged. I know this is a fairly larger spoiler, but I'd rather spoil something than trigger someone's trauma. Charlotte, 911. Give me your room number. This is an emergency. Emmett's text message Emmett's text messages scared me, so I sent him my room number right away before I could consider what kind of emergency would require it. My anxiety rose as I thought about possible options. Maybe someone was chasing him and he needed a hideout. What if they follow him here? Oh Lord, before I could spiral too far into the unknown, a loud pounding made me run into the open door. Emmett stood outside my dorm, panting lightly with an erratic gleam in his eyes. Without an invitation, he slammed into the room and tried to catch his breath to speak. Thank God, you're still wearing my. Thank God, you're still wearing my jersey. I looked down to realize Emmett was right. I hadn't taken off his jersey yet. I had been so oversensitized by the time we got home that I just crashed on the couch without changing. Whew. His breath whooshed out. Sorry, Smalls. I had to run here from the field, and I don't have much time. There was another leg of the rookie race. We all have to bring our girls to the frat party tonight. Wait, what? I'm not going to that party. Why do they need us to go? I don't know. They they don't tell us rookie shit. We just get orders and we have to follow them or they will make our freshman year hell. But I promise nothing will happen to you. Hazing is about messing with us, not you girls. Look, please, Smalls. I'll take you to the party, and the second they declare the race over, I'll bring you straight back. I promise. Sighing, I stared down at my toes. I hated parties, and really didn't want to do this, but Emmett gave me one of my first true college experiences. Could this be another? Emmett, I need your I need your word that you'll bring me right back. And I'm gonna see if Madeline wants to come with us too. Thank you, thank you, thank you, he shouted as he swung me around. Dizzy, I went into Madeline's room to check on her and saw her sprawled out on her bed playing on her phone. Thank goodness she was still done up from the pep rally. Hey, any chance you want to come to a football party? We weren't going to stay out long, but I just thought I'd ask. Madeline stared at me like I just grew 3 heads. Wait, you're inviting me to a party with football players? Hell yeah, I want to go. I laughed at that. Really? What is happening? What is happening in the world? A few minutes later, Emmett rushed both of us down the path that took us towards Greek Row. He kept checking the clock on his phone, then kept pushing a little faster. Finally, we walked up the driveway to the party. Light and music streamed out of the house while a few people miled around the lawn. It didn't seem as crazy as frat parties I saw in movies, so that was positive. This was just an impromptu party thrown together to finish the race, so it shouldn't be too crowded, Emmett said in my ear as we walked into the house. He pulled me into his side and tucked his hand around my waist. I instantly sunk into him, thankfully for the comfort that his closeness brought. Madeline walked ahead of us with the utmost confidence. She turned on her heels to let us know she was going to find a drink before waltzing off towards the kitchen. Hey Reynolds, you made it, a tall boy with broad shoulders and olive skin approached us with a red solo cup. And you brought your girl, he said when his eyes fell on me. My skin squirmed as he took his time eyeing me up and down like he was appraising me. Finally, he looked back at Emmett with an approving nod. Yeah, Emmett said awkwardly. Tyler, this is Charlotte, my partner for the race. Charlotte, this is Tyler, the tight end of our team. The tight end of our team. Hello, it's nice to meet you, I said softly as I clung to the back of Emmett's shirt. The boys talked for a short time before we moved forward to greet more of the team. I noticed that every one of the players said hi to me. They took an awkwardly long time to look me over. Emmett seemed to notice too, because his arm tightened around me. When I looked up at him, his lips were pulled into a tight line. It's okay. Just breathe. Everything will be fine. Just relax. I said this mantra over and over again as my anxiety rose up in my throat like bile. The sooner the race was over, the better, because all I wanted to do was grab Madeline and hightail it out of here. What the fuck are you doing here? A low voice growled from the back of us. Spinning around, I came chest with Archer. Looking up at him, I saw his face twisted up in annoyance as he stared back at me. Rookie, why the fuck did you bring her here? Didn't you hear? Tyler at the end of the pep rally. Emmett asked as he pulled me back to a bit from Archer's glowering presence. Archer noticed that too. Give me a second. I need to drink some water. Alright, I'm back. Didn't you hear Tyler at the end of the pep rally? Emmett asked as he pulled me back a bit from Archer's glowering presence. Archer noticed that too, because he narrowed his eyes at Emmett. The final challenge of the race was for all of us rookies to bring our girls back here. A loud voice interrupted us before we could say any more. All Trojans meet on the back deck for deliberation. Before the true winner of the rookie race is crowned, Tyler yelled from the top of the staircase. Emmett and Archer both stiffened and then looked over at me as though they were unsure how to proceed. I stared back, equally stressed, as I didn't want them to leave me alone. Okay, look, Charlotte, Archer said as he steered me towards a chair that was pushed against the wall. You're gonna sit right here and not move. Got it? The second we're done, I'll come right back and take you home, okay? Anxiety gripped my chest at the thought of being left alone. So instead of speaking, I just nodded as I looked over at Emmett and tried to give him a casual smile. When my when I turned back to Archer, he was staring right into my eyes. He grimaced slightly and then shocked me by placing his hand on my thigh, giving me a reassuring squeeze. Okay, we'll be right back. I watched as the boys walked down the hallway that led to the backyard, and then took stock of my surroundings. All of the football players had left, so there were only the frat boys that I assumed lived here. The other girls wearing jerseys shouting from the kitchen told me there were more in there. I waited. I wanted to go searching for Madeline, but my anxiety had rooted me to the spot. Hey there, gorgeous, a guy had said as he dropped in the seat next to me. You look thirsty. Here. A red solo cup was shoved into my face. The man sitting next to me was dressed in tight dark jeans and a beer-stained shirt. He had long, greasy black hair that fell past his ears. His eyes were red and bloodshot, and his face had this thin sheen of sweat on it. Leaning forward, he dropped his hand on my thigh and squeezed. Unlike when Archer had just done it, this did not feel like it was meant to make me feel comfortable. Oh, no thank you, I'm fine, I squeaked out. Come on, drink up. You look like you need to have some fun, he said again as he shoved the cup into my hand. I was so overwhelmed that with I was so overwhelmed with what I should do, that I took the cup to appease him, but I didn't take a drink. Looking around for an escape route, I didn't see anything. No one else seemed to realize or care that I was uncomfortable. The man, the man's hand kept running up and down my thigh as he watched me. I could feel my senses shutting down. Oh no, the anxiety attack was creeping up on me, and I was not going to be small or manageable. I needed to find a way to get away from this guy. Actually, I said with my strongest voice, I was just gonna find my friend, so if you'll excuse me. I tried to stand up, but his large hand stopped me. Looking me straight in my eyes, he smiled. Let's go, gorgeous. I just want to make sure everyone's having fun. Take the drink, and I'll go find your friend for you. My chest tightened as he grabbed my hand and brought the cup to my lips forcibly. Fear gripped me as I tried to keep a clear mind, but my vision already blurred from the unshed tears, and my body acted with its own accord. The liquid sloshed against my lip, but I took a drink before yanking my head back with a cough. He seemed satisfied that I had finally had some alcohol, so he got up and with a wink he sauntered away from me. Once he was gone, my body began to relax into the chair. I spent a few minutes taking deep breaths before trying to quietly ground myself as some of the anxiety sped away. Knowing I needed to find Madeline soon, I tried to stand up, but my head spun and I fell back down. What the heck? I tried to look around, but I couldn't clearly focus on anything. It was as though my head was underwater. My body felt so heavy that it seemed impossible to stand up. Panic set in as I realized this was not the effects of one sip of alcohol. I needed help, and I needed it now. I put all of my strength and determination behind me as I managed to myself up until until I was standing. I locked eyes on the hallway that I had seen the boys walk down. I stumbled towards it. The hallway was dark, but I could see the door on the other end with light shining through. With each step I made towards the door, every ounce took out every ounce of my energy. I could barely keep my eyes open, but I knew I had to keep pushing forward. I sent out a silent prayer that I was headed in the right direction for help and reached the doorknob. My body slammed into the door as I tried to turn the knob. My coordination was completely off, and my hand could barely keep the grip. I felt the knob turn and click. With a grateful sigh, I went to push the door open. But before I could hand with a grateful sigh, I went to push the door open. But before I could, a hand snapped tightly around my wrist, and everything went black. Ooh, nah, I need to know if she's okay or not. Trigger warning, this is a continuation of the previous trigger of being drugged. Depictions of character being drugged. This is Archer's POV, Chapter 9. Okay, Charlotte, I said as I grabbed her small shoulders and pushed her towards the open chair. You're going to sit right here and not move. Got it? The second we were done back there, I'll come back and take you home, okay? As I watched as she tried to smile towards the rookie, I could tell she hated this. Charlotte had always been a quiet girl. I had never seen her in any social settings alone. She was surrounded by her family, or those two annoying girls. Either way, it was like she was a princess that needed to be guarded. When she looked towards me, her eyes almost did me in. Large brown orbs were so filled with worry that I felt some primal caveman urge to grab her and protect her. I grimaced at that thought. She wasn't my girl, or responsibility even. Besides, she was sitting in the middle of a crowded room. What's the worst that could happen? Without meaning to, I reached out, placed my hand on her thigh. She was wearing jean shorts, and I was thrown by how soft her skin was. I really wanted to run my hand up her higher, but I stopped myself. What the fuck am I doing? This is Ollie's little sister. So instead, I gave her this quick little squeeze and said, "Okay, we'll be right back." I followed the rookie out the back door, flexing my hand to release the residual heat that lingered from Charlotte's thigh. But by the looks of it, the rest of our team was already here, wanting to get this over with as quickly as possible. I stayed back by the door and waited. Tyler was standing in the middle of the deck, smirking at everyone, so I assumed whatever idiotic plan he held was his doing. "All right, boys," Tyler began. "It's time to decide who the true winner of the rookie race is. Obviously, we couldn't do this at the pep rally since Dean Thomas has been cracking down on hazing rituals, but thanks to our Sigma Pi bros, we were able to do this here." I rolled my eyes. Of course, this was some dumb hazing thing. My thoughts wandered to Charlotte, currently wearing a rookie's jersey. If Tyler's idiot plan included the girls getting hazed too, he had another fucking thing coming. So what the fuck did you? So why the fuck they have to bring the girls here, Tyler? I spat. Patience, Johnson. I'm getting there. So boys, each rookie brought a girl here tonight wearing their jersey. Our job, of course it is, our job is to decide which girl is the hottest, the most fuckable, if the most fuckable, if you will. The rookie had brought the hottest girl. The rookie that brought the hottest girl is the official winner of the rookie race and doesn't have to do the DD duties for the next 3 parties. Now let's hear it. Who do y'all think it wins? I felt my blood boil at the thought of them all staring at Charlotte like a piece of meat. I glared over at the idiot rookie, Matt or whatever, for bringing her here. I was slightly appeased that he looked just as pissed as me, but wasn't letting him off the hook yet. I vote I vote number 2. Her tits were fucking huge. No way, man. Tyson's girl was a babe. Yeah, right, boys. Emmett's girl takes it from me. The little one? She looks like a prude. She barely smiled. Those are the best ones, man. The hot virgins. My shoulders tensed when I realized they were talking about Charlotte. Fuck this bullshit. Charlotte is off limits, I said before I could stop myself. My voice was low, but it cut through the bullshit instantly, and everyone turned to look at me. Uh, Tyler stared at me for a second. You putting claims on that one, QB? I'm not putting claims on shit. I'm just telling you that anyone who lays finger on that girl is going to have to deal with me. My teammates all stared at me with shock and apprehension. They had all, at some point, experienced dealing with me, what dealing with me entailed, and I'm sure none of them wanted to do it again. I had also never showed any interest in a girl before, except for the one night stands. Interest? Is that what these fucking urges to protect Charlotte came from? Am I interested in her? I mean, no way. I mean, fuck, she's hot, obviously, but she's my best friend's little sister and a family friend. We may not be close, but this is definitely coming from a sense of responsibility to her family. The boys slowly started to deliberate again, but no one mentioned Charlotte, so I turned them out. So I tuned them out. I leant against the door as I felt the knob jiggle against my back. I turned slightly to see if anyone was coming out, but the door didn't open. I furrowed my brow when I heard a thump on the other side. Is someone listening to us? That's all we needed was for someone to overhear the USC football team acting with like sexist pigs. I stepped back to swing the door open, but when my hand reached the door, I felt someone on the other side of the wall. Other side, turn it as well. Oh my god, Charlotte! Charlotte! Fuck! Someone help me! As I stood, soon as the shrill voice of a girl rang out, swung the door open and froze at what I saw. Charlotte was slumped to the ground, practically unconscious, as her roommate stood over her, trying to yank her back up. I could feel my teammates crowding around me, but all I could focus on was Charlotte. I think she's been drugged or something, her roommate yelled at us. She needs to get to the hospital. Those words spurred me into action as I felt the logic return to my body. Swooping down, I grabbed Charlotte and held her close to my chest. Her head bobbed slightly as she tried to look at me, which made me feel a tiny bit better. Okay, all rookies, I yelled instantly, getting the freshman's attention. You're all gonna find the girls you brought here and get them back home safe. And for fuck's sake, make sure they're all coherent. I didn't stop to check if they had listened to me before continuing. You, I shouted at the rookie that brought Charlotte. Take Charlotte's roommate home. I finally turned to the rest of my team who had stared back at me with faces that mirrored my own anger. Sh- Shut this fucking party down. And if you find anyone with roofies, beat the shit out of them and get me their name. Not wanting to waste another second, I held Charlotte tight and raced around the house to my truck. As I moved to the passenger seat to buckle her in, Charlotte began mumbling something against my shoulder. Shh, it's okay, Charlotte. I'm gonna get you some help. Just try to stay awake, I said, in the most soothing voice I could muster up. She was buckled in, and I booked it around the truck and hopped in. I took one quick breath to calm my nerves because I knew it wouldn't help Charlotte if I couldn't get her to the hospital in one piece. Then we were off. Arch, I heard the softest mumble come from the passenger seat. Hey, yeah, sweetheart, I'm right here. I, I said as I kept my eyes locked on the road. Archer, tell, don't tell. It's okay, Charlotte, just breathe and try to stay awake from me. No, she said louder, pulling my gaze away from the road to check on her. She was slumped into a pile in the bucket seat. In the bucket seat. She said she was trying to keep her eyes locked on me. Okay, Charlotte, it's okay. Whatever you're trying to say, don't tell who. As I realized what as I realized who she likely meant. Don't tell your parents? Charlotte let out a soft sigh and closed her eyes briefly as she nodded. All of the energy left her body as she melted over. It was like she had only been staying awake to tell me that. Fuck. Don't tell her parents that their daughter was in danger? I don't know if I can do that. Deciding to cross Deciding to cross that bridge when it came to it, I pushed on the gas and continued. I finally could see the lights of the emergency entrance shining in front of me as I swung my car into the space and shot out of my seat. I ripped open Charlotte's door and tried to keep my panic at bay when I saw she was completely out now. Lifted up her chest lifted up and down, but it looked slow and labored. I scooped her up back into my arms and ran through the doors. I must have made a commotion because the nurse came running over instantly with a questioning gaze. I think she's been drugged, I panted. Please help her. All right, sir. Just place her on that stretcher and we'll get her help. The nurse replied evenly. I turned to the stretcher against the wall and gently placed Charlotte down on the sheets. I felt so helpless now that we were here and there was nothing else I could do. So I just stood there staring at her, trying to calm my breathing down and brushing her hair with my finger. More nurses were running towards us, and I knew that they were about to pull her away from me. So before I could, I leant down and kissed Charlotte's temple. You're gonna be okay, sweetheart. Just hold on. Damn, that's crazy. That's crazy. See, scary to think that that's the type of stuff that can happen. Mm-hmm. I'm lucky to have not experienced it myself. Then again, I'm a homebody. I don't go anywhere. So, Charlotte. So, we're back to Charlotte's point of view, chapter 10. So, Charlotte's POV. Charlotte. Charlotte? Come on, it's time to wake up, miss. Who was that? Whoever it was, they were gonna have to take a freaking number. My entire body had melted into the lumpy surface below me. My eyelids were tight and heavy, as though they were sealed and weighed down by some unknown force. Not to mention, this guy was standing en- at the end of a tunnel, trying to make me wake up. Nope, not happening, sir. Is she always this hard to rouse awake? I heard the annoying man say. Yeah, honestly, couldn't you tell? A deeper voice responded. Oh, Mr. Annoying laughed. I just assumed her brother, you know. My brother? Ollie was here? Why is Oliver here? Wait, where is here? The man's voice became clearer and louder as he spoke, though he was now walking to my end of the tunnel. I rattled around in my brain, pulling me from my slumber no matter how hard I clung to the peace. A harsh white blinded. My voice is going. This is my voice is going. We might make this the last chapter before we do something else. A harsh white light blinded me as I regained consciousness. I blinked rapidly to clear the fuzzy film spots that were currently blocking my view. As everything around me came into focus, the room I was in flashed into my view. A large window, industrial blinds with white walls, plastic pitcher of water on the table. Archer propped in a chair? The final image prompted me to open my eyes wider. Archer was sitting next to me in a stiff wooden chair. His brown hair was rumpled on the top of his head, and a 5 o'clock shadow prickled his jaw. He was wearing dark jeans and a white shirt and a red plaid button down. They were wrinkled and creased as though he had been in them for a while. His eyes, that stared intensely back at me, had dark circles underneath them. What was Archer doing here? What? I croaked at him. Archer's brows snapped together in worry at the sound of my voice. Seriously, what was going on? A squeezing pressure dropped my attention to my lap. Then I noticed Archer was holding my hand in his. As I registered the large hand warming my own, he yanked his back. Hello, Charlotte. I'm glad you could join us. Mr. Annoying spoke again. My head spun to turn to my right to see an elderly man with gray hair glasses, and a white lab coat. Oops, Doctor Annoying? Do you know where you are, Charlotte? The man continued. I took another glance around. This time I noticed the heart rate monitor and the IV drip next to the bed. Hospital? I wheezed. That's right, Miss Dr. Annoying said with a smile. Do you know why you're here? His face stiffened into a more serious look than he asked. Fear prickled my senses as I tried to remember why I was here. What could have landed me in the hospital with Mr. Archer Johnson, of all people, holding my hand? It had to be bad if Archer was trying to comfort me. The fluorescent lights and the anxious thoughts worked together to make my head throb. I scanned my body physically, quickly. There was no visible casts or bandages. My body didn't hurt either. It just felt weighed down. My throat was a little sore, but besides that, I couldn't feel any injuries. Why was I here? Anxiety flooded my stomach as I tried to decipher why I ended up in the hospital. I whipped my head over to Archer to see if he had any answers, and he seemed to read the frantic question in my eyes. Why can't she remember? Is that normal? He asked the doctor. Yes, it is quite normal in this case. Charlotte, your brother brought you into into us last night after you had attended a party. When you arrived, your breathing was very labored, so we had to intubate you. You may feel some irritation in your throat for the next couple of days. You also had quite the cocktail of ketamines and rufinol in your system. It appears as though you were drugged at that party. Drugged? At a party? I would have believed him more if he had told me I was body swapped. I was barely the type of girl to go to a party, let alone careless enough to get drugged. How could this have even happened? The gravity of the doctor's words had bile rising in my throat. Stress tightened around my chest as I racked my brain for my last memory. I could remember laying on the couch posting on Instagram. Then Emmett texted me, but everything after that was blurry. Don't worry too much about trying to regain your memory right now, Charlotte. I'm quite confident the last 12 hours will come back to you soon. Now, there is something more sensitive I need to ask you. Would it be better if we were alone? My gaze landed back on Archer. He shifted in the seat to stand up. Then I realized he was about to leave me. Something came over me in that moment. I was scared, alone, and lost as to what happened. I hated being stuck in the unknown, so I grasped onto anything I could. And the only thing I had that was familiar. Archer. Please stay, I begged as my hand snapped on his forearm. In any other scenario, I would be mortified by my behavior towards him. But at that moment, I didn't care. I would rather deal with the repercussions of clinging onto Archer than be alone right now. It's okay, Charlotte. I'm not going anywhere. Archer rushed out. But if you want some privacy, I can walk out into the hall while you talk to the doctor. His words made sense, but an anxiety attack bubbled just below the surface of my semi-calm exterior. I couldn't risk him leaving. What if he decided to really leave me? What if the doctor asked me a question I couldn't answer? The anxious thoughts swirled in my brain, causing my grip on Archer's arm to tighten. No, please stay, I said stronger this time. I kept my hand latched onto his arm, in fear that he wouldn't listen, but he remained in his seat. All right then, Charlotte. Normally, when we have a patient that was drugged unknowingly, we would want to screen for any evidence of sexual assault. My nails dug into the tough flesh of Archer's arm as the doctor's words, his large hand smothered my own for the second time now, that the heat released some tension in my fingers. The football calluses grated against my knuckles as Archer slowly rubbed my hand. I kept my eyes locked on the doctor so that I wouldn't know if Archer noticed the goosebumps that ran down my arm. No, this can be scary, Charlotte. And I'm very sorry this happened to you. Now, we haven't done any testing yet because we had to wait for you to wake up and consent. Your brother said you were left in the crowded room when the drugging happened, and when he found you, your clothes appeared undisturbed. That is not That is not to say something couldn't have happened to you, but it is entirely your choice if you would like us to screen for it. The overwhelming question threatened to send me further into my anxious spiral, but the rhythmic motion of Archer's palm scratching the back of my hand focused my mind. There wasn't any pain anywhere. I was still a virgin, so I was fairly positive that I would feel something if it had happened. A tiny voice whispered inside me that I really didn't want to know. I was too weak to handle this, too fragile. Shame washed over me as I realized how pathetic I was. Strong women went through worse than this every day and thrived. Meanwhile, here I was putting my head under the covers because I couldn't see the monsters, because if I can't see the monsters, they don't exist. I just want to go home, I said as I shook my head. All right, Charlotte, that is your choice. Now you're going to need to be monitored for the next 24 hours. You had expressed that you didn't want your parents called, which is in your rights as a legal adult. But if you want to go home, I will have to insist that someone stays with you to make sure you don't need to come back. Your brother, perhaps? I frowned at the doctor. Why did he keep mentioning Oliver? Archer's hand froze on my own as I turned back to him. Did he look guilty? I recognized that look because it was one I had found adorable when we were young. His eyes would widen slightly. He refused to blink, as though doing so would admit fault. Then he'd pull his lips together in a small pucker and stay silent while Oliver talked them out of trouble. Yeah, he rumbled lowly as he rubbed the back of his neck. I can watch her. That's fine. Archer was going to stay with me? Not likely. It crossed my mind that he he might have just been telling the doctor that. I had locked in a vice grip, so he didn't get to leave until I did. At that moment, all I wanted to do was shower in my own bed. If pretending that Archer was going to babysit me got me out of there, then so be it. Perfect. Well, Charlotte, you most likely will be feeling groggy for the next few hours at least. You should rest, drink a lot of water. Grogginess is fine, but if you start to lose consciousness or become disoriented, then you will need to come back. Understand? Both Archer and I nodded at the doctor's instructions. I also suggest creating a police report when your memory returns. Now, if there's nothing else, I'll be off. A nurse will be in soon to help you get dressed and discharge you. With that, Dr. Annoying taped his clipboard on my bed, and left the room. It dawned on me that the doctor had mentioned my brother several times. Where's Ollie? Also, why are you the only one here with me? I asked Archer. My voice still sounded as though I had sandpaper had rubbed it raw. Archer reached across the plastic jug of water and poured a cup. He passed it to me directly with one word instruction: drink. I did as he demanded and lifted the plastic cup to my parched lips. The cool water coated my mouth before sliding down my throat, leaving a trail of relief in its wake. I turned back to Archer and raised my eyebrows, signaling that he still had questions to answer. Okay, well, I was the one who found you at the party. Well, no. Actually, you found me. Or us. Okay. Either way, I brought you here, and you begged me not to tell your parents. I nodded my head. The last thing I wanted was for my parents to know that I was drugged. They would never let me get another minute of sleep for my 4-year degree. Or my life. But they just took you away from me, and then you wouldn't answer any of my questions. The dumb fucker at the front desk just kept telling me that I had to be family to see you. I couldn't not tell your parents if something was really wrong, but I didn't know for sure. So anyway, I told the doctor I was Oliver, so he'd let me come in here. I stared wide-eyed at Archer's admission. Had he been so worried about me? Wait, no, he'd been so worried about my family? There was no difference. Either way, appreciation flooded my heart at all Archer had done for me last night. I swallowed heavily, trying to find the words to thank him, when Nurse sauntered into the room. Hello, sir. If you could just wait in the hall. I'm gonna help Miss Charlotte get dressed, and then you can be on your way. Archer didn't move immediately, instead faced me with his jaw locked and eyebrows lifted. Even more gratitude tingled my skin as he clearly waited for my permission to go. That comfort, that small action brought was enough to convince me that he wouldn't leave. Well, that plus, I was not about to let Archer Johnson see me naked. I gave him a weak nod and shuffled up in bed as he walked out. A few minutes later, the nurse had me back in my shorts and the USC shirt that I had worn under Emmett's jersey. I left that in the bag with my wallet and my dead phone. My skin itched in the old clothes as I was desperate to get home and shower. With an apologetic smile, the nurse insisted that I be brought out of the hospital in a wheelchair. When we exited the room, I saw Archer a few doors down the hallway, talking on his phone. He turned as we approached, and I could tell he was annoyed with whoever he was speaking to. His lips were drawn into a tight line, and his eyes were dark with frustration. Was it my imagination, or did everything on his face soften a bit when his eyes dropped on me? Whatever, just do it, rookie. Or I'll put you on DD duty for the entire year, he snapped, then pocketed his phone and jerked his jaw for us to follow him to his truck. The drive back to the university was quiet. Archer didn't attempt to say anything to me, and I was too intimidated being alone with him to speak, so I stared out the passenger side window and tried to empty my mind of all the questions I still had. The truck thudded into a stop under me, making me lift my gaze. Before me, a brown three-store home with a patio wrapped around it. Where are we? I asked, finally turning to look at Archer. His lips twisted in confusion as he replied, my house. What? And that's the last chapter we have for today. We got quite a few chapters done. Spoke till my voice was raw. You can hear it. My voice is so scratchy right now. Mm. Mm. Usually, what I would do is I would usually then just drop my voice because then dropping my voice helps me um basically figure out it helps lessen like the hold on my throat. So I'll probably be talking like this for a while. So yeah, if I sound different, this is exactly why. Hmm. With everything that happened so far, I don't think she obviously has zero trust in Archer, which makes sense a little bit, but also doesn't, because while she does all of her all of her thoughts on him basically stem from that one comment he made. And from that, you can basically guess that he called her his creepy little sister. Could have been as a joke, could have been serious. We don't really know, but I do feel like what she said is what she thinks about him could be justified in a way because you're entitled to your own feelings about people. But she used that one quote to dictate her entire look at him, and it changed completely, which I guess more has to do with um how she interacts with him now, which is kind of crazy. Archer having the hots for his best friend's sister, not a smart idea, but um I don't know. It's a good way to get yourself in a bit of trouble. especially with the way that it seems like they're both families seem to view has her as the kind of like the baby of the family. Mhm. I think I'm glad that he's actually gonna be watching over her because um when you get drugs like that, and from what it seems like, he he made her drink a concentrated like dose of that drink. Like that had to be concentrated. If taking like a sip knocked her out that badly. So if she had actually drank the whole drink, she probably would have died, honestly. Yeah. The things people do. Um, yeah. These chapters were honestly way more sad than I was expecting. Like the first two chapters with Emmett was fine. I'm glad that it wasn't like any of the football players that did this. It was like some rando who joined it, which I'm not glad that it happened. It sucks that it happened. But I'm glad that it wasn't someone who, like, because let's talk about like power in certain situations. When usually when it comes to football, the better the player is, the more power they seem to have over other people because their word is usually taken better and at a higher standard than others. This is just from things that I've personally witnessed with other people, and they're looked at more highly and things like that from by not only like the people around them but like teachers and other people. When it comes to college stuff, it definitely gets a lot worse because college football obviously is a big thing in America. So when you get to things like this, it definitely has a huge impact. I'm just glad it wasn't any of the football players. It was some rando. I hope they do end up. I do. I do hope she remembers. And they end up pressing charges because that shit sucks. She couldn't. She was like, cause when you think about the fact that he had a sip, basically, he had a sip of however much he put in that cup that he forced her to drink, first of all. He probably, from his bloodshot eyes and his slurred speech, he definitely had something. It could have been drugs, it could have been alcohol, and whatever. So, I'm just glad she'll be taken care of. I hope she contacts her roommate though soon. Um, Obviously, her health is what's most important in this situation. But I know it'll definitely be traumatizing to both her roommate Madeline and Emmett. I know Emmett will probably definitely have a deep seated guilt over everything that happened because he was the one who took her to that party. And Madeline will definitely not have, might not be guilt, but like worry because she doesn't know how her friend and roommate is doing. So I hope she contacts them. Mm, Next time we read will be on chapter. Ooh, the light is so bright. We'll be on chapter 11, where she's entered his house. So, mm, mm, we should. Speaking of relationships, Yeah, I know my voice sounds a lot deeper, and probably sound. I'm not sure if it sounds a lot different because I've never recorded myself and heard the difference, but I do. It does help though when I have like a really bad sore throat. Helps my throat heal in a way. I can't open my eyes because my computer light is too bright. Oh my lord. Feels like I just took a flashlight to the eyes. Still kind of bright where I am right now. Sucks a bit. The mm, not bad. Hmm. Maybe I should. Some of the stories that I do like to read aren't usually like as PG. Um, like the story that I'm reading currently, the erotic artiste. Well, it's a good story, first of all, but it's like they already started locking chapters, so I can only read, which sucks. I hate it when websites start locking when they lock chapters, because usually what I trust try to do then is I just try to figure out another way to read it, which isn't nice, but right now I'm reading the erotic artiste. I think they plan on having more than one book. I think they plan on making it a series though. Mm, right now, I haven't gotten far in the book. Honestly, I think if I do, there was this woman on TikTok. Now, I can't really remember what her name was or what the books were about, but I remember she had written books that were different levels of like raunchy, and she had like regular books that had like the cover and the pictures and stuff like that, but then she had like the incognito books that were like just different shades of colors. So like the lighter the shade, the easier it was. The darker the shade, like the worse it was. Like the darker thing it gotten, right? I think she said all of them were like dark a bit, but it was very different, you know? I found that so interesting because she said she did that so that if you wanted to read the book, you could read the book in public, right? And on top of that, the book didn't have like a title or anything. It just had a number, I think. Oh my god, I need to find that because ooh, I know what I'm buying. Man. It's so easy to figure out. I need to figure out what, which one that is, because that is so interesting. What would I even search for? Because I don't know what her name is, and I don't know what the book titles are. Incognito. Um, I'm just gonna put smut books. Di- oh, discreet covers. Arthur, who whose books are, oops, wrong one, are different shades, whose books cover Or book covers. Book covers probably sounds better. Move, bro. Gray. Or pink. I knew there was one that was pink or there was one that was gray. I need to see short videos. Here it is. I found it. I found it. I found it. Willow Winter. Willow Winters. Oh my god. There it is. Let me see if I can pull it up. Here. So we can both hear it. You guys probably can't hear it either. Oh, volume was off. Lower it a bit because I don't know how loud it's gonna be.
So many people have asked me this question about repeated colors, but check out the end there. I've already started to repeat colors. Also, don't mind the gaps. I took some books out for a couple friends, so I'm missing a few. But these are the discrete series. They're color coded by darkness and tropes like Small Town's Very Light, Mafia and Abduction, much darker. And even though the set that I have on my shelf are numbered by publishing and reading order, you can get them without the numbers also. So technically, the ones that I repeated in color towards the end for the reading and publishing order, you could just slip them on down here, like so. This is another small town romance that I wrote years later. It's a different world, and I have two more coming in this world, which is why this is 52, and then the next one is 55. This is the typical romance cover, and these are the discrete series. Couple's name on the front, nothing on the back, and bam, it goes like that. Same exact book inside. My point is, though, the colors will repeat, or you could get them with no numbers or even other colors.
See, I saw that. Oh my god, my voice feels so much better. But yeah, so I saw this and I was looking at it, and honestly, if you want to wear your smut with pride, wear your smut with pride, because that shit is not my business. But if I want to read this stuff in public, I need to be able to read it in public. So it's called the Discreet series by Willow Winters, who's an author. I came across it um when I had Twitter. I think it was back in it was back during COVID probably, and I honestly was super interested. If I wasn't broke and I actually had money, I probably would have spent some money. The only thing is, my siblings love reading and touching my stuff, so I don't think it would be a smart idea right now. Yeah, let's discreet discreet series. Willow Winters. There are a bunch of ooh ebook option. Ooh, you can choose the online version, and if you get the ebook, and what she said, they all have the exact same cover, basically the exact same cover. It has, on the cover of each book, it just has the couple's names, like Dom, Rebecca, Carter, Maria, whatever the names are. Dom, Becca, Vince L, Kane, Ava, Tommy, Tanya. And some of these are series too, so. And they all come from different books. Add. Add to cart. No, I want all of them. I wanted to see what it does. Mm. Yeah. My one question is, some people said they never received the book. I wonder if you can only claim certain ones. Hmm. There we go. Oh, snap. Yeah. They bamboozled me. They're a liar. Only if you buy the first book, it looks like. Because I'm trying to see. If I choose. Only if you buy the first book is it 0. But if you try to get all the other books, they each cost $5. Hmm, that's so interesting. Hmm. I want to read, I want to try reading some other stories that, um, give me a second. Wow, my fingers are failing me. Trying to figure out something. Yeah, I'm trying to find something, but I can't. It keeps on trying to find something that I'm not looking for, so I'm just having issues, like I always do. There we go. Okay. I was worried about something. Okay. Uh, my voice is back. Yippee! I feel so much more natural. But yeah. Okay, that book series though was quite interesting, if I do say so myself. If I do say so myself. And I quite do say so myself. I do. I do want to eventually read that book series because that book series looks interesting. Because with each series, like she said, so like I wonder if any other book series are has done that too. They probably do have other book series that have done that because no one, no, honestly, wear that shit with pride. Read that spot in public if you really want to. Because I feel like if it's a more known book, like if you're reading 50 Shades of Grey in public, people are obviously gonna know. But if you're reading something like here, let me turn the BGM back on. But if you're reading something like I don't know, um, maybe like one of her discrete series, and it literally just has names on the cover, people won't know what your book is about anyways. So they'll just be like, Oh, she's reading a romance book, obviously, because it has two names on the front. That's what I would just think. So that's so interesting. Mm-hmm. What other book? I've been thinking about reading other books. To you guys, what other books I could read? By the way, uh, this book series, Unintended Consequences, is on Wattpad by I'm 1993, which is spelled EIM, all lowercase, 1993. So if you want to go ahead and either catch up or read further into the future, you can go ahead and do that. The book series is done, which is definitely the reason, which is why I chose it. Um, it has its epilogue, it's completed. They even have a bonus chapter with a little teaser at the end, so can't wait. We're on chapter 10, and we still have it goes to chapter 49, but the epilogue is basically chapter 50. So I'd say it has 50 chapters. So we're 20%. I'd say about 20%. 20%. Nice though. Let me tell you guys, my reading skills, the stuttering that I was stuttering. Ugh. I do plan on writing some stories of my own. I wonder how I'm gonna do that though and show you guys. If I'm going to post it, maybe probably on something like Wattpad, or if I would change it up and like maybe do a Patreon or something. I was thinking about that with like some art too. That way you guys could have everything. Hmm. Yeah, cause I've been thinking about it for a while. It's something that I wanted to do, like ASMR and stuff like that. Moving it, I'd keep that stuff separate though, because you know how YouTube is with anything ASMR. And obviously, if I do plan on doing that, I think I'll like keep the art and stuff on there so we can look at it. Mhm. Something that I do want to do in the future, which is a future goal of mine, is maybe get like a little short manga written, or have different like short story comics that aren't like many pages long, maybe like 4 max, of different like short stories with my character Nocturne, or with you guys in it. Mhm. I think it'd be really nice to do in the future. It's something I'd really love to do in the future. I haven't really. There's a lot that I want to do. I have a lot of goals, but I think taking everything one step at a time, like starting with ASMR, is definitely gonna be a help. Yep. The only thing that sucks is there will be some point in the future that I will have to announce. It's not soon yet, but I'll have to send out my computer to get fixed. And in doing so, I won't be streaming on YouTube for a while. I'll be streaming on Reality, and and that might be for a long while. Yeah. because I think it'll be at least, they said with the way that my computer is, it could be 2 to 3 weeks, which sucks. But I'll just stream on reality during that time. I don't know how much time I'll have, but I'll do my best too, so. Alright, guys. Talk about everything under the sun. Oh, as always, remember to eat, drink, and take care of yourselves. Drink lots and lots of water. And exercise. Do a couple jumping jacks today. I don't know. I'll see you later. As always.